Peace, peace, peace. And assalamu alaikum. It's your girl, the co-wife coach.
It's your host, the co-wife coach, coming in for another Poly Talk podcast. I hope everybody is having an amazing day. Let me just say something. I'm gonna jump right into it, y'all. Listen, sisters, y'all been sending in them questions, but guess what? The brothers been sending questions in too. Yes, I have a particular question, and actually, it was a few questions that was on the same topic, and we're just gonna jump right into it in this particular podcast, and it's all about that J word. That other J word, not that J word, the other J word, jealousy. Yes, jealousy. How can I help my wife in polygyny when she says that she struggles with jealousy or she's too jealous to be in polygyny? That came up more than a few times. And this is the brothers asking, wanting to know. So I'm hoping that those men that are in polygyny, going into polygyny, thinking about it, reading about it, learning about it, I hope that you're listening with really big ears today. So when women say that they're too jealous for polygyny, that may be true, but it really says something else. I know, sis, y'all don't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it. It really says something else. Now, can they be jealous? Absolutely. Was I jealous? Absolutely. So, am I now jealous? Do I have my moments? Absolutely, because I'm human. What human being, men or woman, is not jealous, right? And I know that the emphasis of too jealous is normally thrown into that term or that phrase, but it's not necessarily to say that they're too jealous or that we as women are too jealous to be in polygyny, is that we just don't want to. And that's the easiest way to say it. Sometimes some women say we don't want to. Sometimes some women, they say I don't want to be in that. That's not for me. I'm not about that life. And that's fine. They're being upfront with you. They're being honest. And even when a woman says that I'm too jealous, they may be honest too. But in reality, that I'm too jealous phrase is also a mask for us. And I'm not just saying y'all, I'm also including myself into this particular conversation where it's a mask for you not to really look into what that jealousy actually represents. And when I say a mask, it's a hiding behind the word of not wanting to do the work, not wanting to partake, not wanting to be open to, not wanting it to be a part of your life, not wanting to deal with some of the insecurities that may come along with being in polygyny or just in that setting, not wanting to share, not wanting to have, time split. It's a lot of different things that is behind that phrase, that hides behind that phrase, that mask of a phrase. And if anything, a lot of men, they take it for what it is and they leave it right there at the table. And that's fine. That's their business. That's your marriage. That's your business. Keep it moving. Like, do what you got to do. I get it. But there's some men who also may be, pacifists and be like, okay, and they deny their true selves as to who they are as polygynous men. And then you have those same men who marry behind that other woman's their initial wife, I won't say her back, but they marry another wife without telling them for some time. They become resentful. They sometimes cheat. Like they don't even just go to marrying, they just cheat. And I'm not putting the blame on anyone other than the person that conducted the act. But we have to understand that sometimes those type of things leads to other things that is not helpful to the situation. And if anything, when we hold on to those words and not really do the deep work as to why, because I'm jealous or I'm too jealous, shouldn't be like the end of the road. Like, why are you too jealous? What makes you too jealous? Is that an issue of looking into the reasons, because it actually represents something. And I'm not, when I say doing that work, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be polygynous at the end, but if anything, you have a better understanding as to why you feel the way that you do. Like when it comes to anything that I represent, as far as when I'm working with any of my beloved sisters, is always going back to doing the work that's going to help us become better women, the work that's going to allow us to see deeper than some of the words that we may speak from the surface. It's going to allow us to see and have a better understanding as to who we are and where we're going. So, me saying look deeper or take off the mask and look deeper doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to practice it. You'll just be able to explain your position better, and for him to have a better understanding. Because when we explain things and when we go into deeper conversations, we get a chance to know more about one another. And I'm quite sure that, my dear beloved sisters, you would want your husband to know more about who you are and how you are as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a, even as a servant unto your creator. But I have something to say. I have something to ask. What about when it comes to him? Are we doing the same things for our partners, our husbands, our leaders? Are we actually allowing them to be seen as a whole person, who they are, where they're going, where they currently are, how they're feeling, in order for us to have a deeper connection as well as understanding about him, his inner male. Come on, y'all know I wasn't going to go through this whole thing without an acronym, okay? His inner male. So, my thing is, let's start having these conversations. You're like, what kind of conversations? I always like to speak about having safe space conversations where we can be open, where we can be vulnerable, where we can be transparent, where we can be ourselves wholeheartedly with no judgment, in order for us to be able to see each other for who we are, in order for us to be able to understand and connect with each other on different levels. Like, we want these beautiful, healthy relationships, but we don't want to put the work in. Don't allow all these romantic comedy movies and Disney cartoons and fantasies cloud your judgment. Like, it takes work to get to that deep connection. Like, a girl still blush over a brother after 27 years of marriage, okay? And when we've been in each other's lives, like we go all the way back to middle school, which was 31 years ago. Yeah. And I still blush. And you know, I'm a brown girl. I'm a brown girl, okay? That's my homie. That's my best friend. That's my dude. That's my protector. That's my maintainer. That's my bodyguard. That's my love. That's my best friend. That's my husband. I can say all of those things and go through all of those warm emotion about this one person, because we did the work. We did the work with ourselves individually, and we did the work as a couple in order for us to be where we are. And I'm not sitting here saying we perfect. We human just like everybody else, okay? That is what the work looks like. And you can feel it. It's not just a thing that looks, because people can put on a facade. But yo, it's a feeling. Like, I can't just shake this off. Like, me talking about how our hard work over these years, when we was in monogamy, even in polygyny, it has built a beautiful connection. It has built a beautiful connection that I would never think twice about. Just imagine if I said that I was too jealous. I'm too jealous. I can't do that. He would have never married me. First and foremost, because we talked about polygyny before we got married. And it's not to sit here and say that he knew he was going to be in it, but it was possible, especially since he comes from a polygynous family. If it wasn't something that I wasn't open to, if I was like, no, I ain't doing it, I'm not about that, I can't, whatever, he probably wouldn't have married me. And if I was talking that language when he decided to, it would have been a problem. It definitely would have been a problem. But see, I appreciate, and this is where the brothers, I want you guys to take note. It was talked about in the beginning. It was talked about throughout our monogamous relationship. I was able to see examples of it through his family. I was able to do my own research. We had conversations about it. I had questions that I asked him, and he had questions that he asked me. Like we allowed ourselves to have that safe space of conversation, to be able to have that type of communication that build up to where we currently are right now. And even to the point where I jokingly said, oh, you gonna need another wife, when I thought that I was gonna be traveling for some years. It's all about the process of being able to have the conversations, being open to having the conversations, and doing your work. And if you notice, I mentioned safe space. I'm always going to promote safe space, because we need to be able to have moments where we can share with one another and be able to be supported by the person that you trust, that you with. Listen, if y'all gonna do all of that other stuff, why you can't create a safe space for conversation, for communication, for being able to listen, to be able to be vulnerable, to uncover. If you can build a space to have sex, let's just, like, we adults, if you can build a space in your home or outside your home, however you like it, if you can build a space for that, if you can build a space for intimate, interactions, and be open and trusting in those settings, why can't you build a space for healthy communication, to be able to share with one another, to be able to undress and uncover your soul in another way? Yeah, in that intimate space, in that where, physical intimacy is involved, yes, you physically unclothe yourself. But in this safe space for communication, you are spiritually unclothing yourself and revealing yourself. The good, the not so good, the things that you're most insecure about, the things you're not sure how the other person is going to feel, you're uncovering yourself in those in that aspect. Why can't we have more of that and be supportive? Because as you're uncovering, the one thing that you don't want to do is say, ew, what is that? Or why would you say that? Or why would you do that? Or why do you feel that way? All you're going to do is make the other person put their guard themselves up, or guard themselves, and not feel comfortable enough in trusting you to be able to do, like trusting to be able to do that in front of you again. So we have to do better, but it's all about taking the steps to do the work. I'm too jealous really means something else. Let's find out what that is, to be able to have a better understanding. But as he's doing that for you, sis, make sure you're doing the same thing for him. So that way you have a better understanding of who he is, why. Because a lot of times people jump to the conclusion, oh, he just doing this because he want more sex, or he want to be able to be with somebody else, or whatever. Whatever his reasons is, I don't know, because sometimes people, that could be their reasons, and it could be a lot of other reasons as to why they want that. Want to be able to practice what they feel as though is naturally themselves, or is becoming a part of who they are, or they're just discovering that part of them. However they unfold it in front of you, protect it like you would a newborn child that's coming into this world. Because in reality, when you reveal those things, when he reveals those things to you about himself, and when you reveal those things to him about yourself, it's almost like you both are giving birth to that version of yourself and presenting it to one another. Like, this is my baby. But seriously, we have to do better in having these moments. Because yes, the jealousy is definitely an emotion, and it is an emotion that can be disciplined. It is emotion that can also get out of hand. It is up to the person that is struggling with it to either try to get a control of it or seek help and assistance with getting a handle on it, because sometimes it can be pretty out of control. But brothers, when a woman is telling you that, don't judge her. Don't write her off like, man, she's jealous. No, like you trying to brush that off. Like, she keeps saying this jealousy thing like it's an excuse. Don't belittle that, and don't try to, like, make it as if it's something wrong with them. It is a natural emotion. And sometimes it gets out of control because we as people, we haven't had people helping us to healthfully and helpfully navigate our emotions in the best of manners, let alone communicate them in the best of ways, especially when they are very high. So, if anything, understand that this is a process of adjustment for them, but present it to them in a way where you want to have a discussion. You don't want to just tell them, you want to also hear them out. I want to talk to you about something, and I want this to be a safe space, and I want to also hear how you feel about it. And you go right into it. She's like, okay, sure, fine. And then you go into talking to her about what it is that you want to do. I've been thinking about polygyny, for a while now. I may have mentioned it a few times, and I know you kind of shot it down or wasn't really for it, but it's really something that I want to look into, and it's really something that I want to put to practice. Oh my gosh, no, you didn't. I can't do this. No, this is not happening. You do that, this is over. Allow her to have those emotions. Allow her to have that moment, because at this point, it's like, especially if you never talked about it before, ever, and if you told her that that was something that you never wanted to take part in, especially in the beginning of your relationship, this is like turning her world upside down. You got to let her have that moment of emotion. But sis, don't be disrespectful. Don't be putting your hands on no brother. Don't do that. We don't want to. We can have our feelings, but keep your hands to yourself and your feet and your bodily fluids. Cause listen, I gotta think about my sisters. I know y'all be trying. I know how we can get as women, and we'll try any old. Listen, when you mad and you angry and you feeling a little petty, a little violent, sometimes you're not thinking. Let me just say that. But we don't want to be in those positions. If your husband or your spouse or your partner comes to you and says that, yes, you can be angry. You can express how you feel. You can be hurt. You can feel like you're being deceived, that you were lied to, that you was misled, misguided, betrayed. You can have all those feelings. No problem. But don't throw things at him. Don't hit him, or hit him with something like your car or a stick or a broomstick or any kind of object. Don't spit, don't kick. Allow yourself to release that energy in a way where no one or nothing is harmed, including yourself. But also, once that energy is released in that moment, allow yourself some time to process what is going on. And brother, allow her to process that as well. Because if anything, you will want to make sure that if she has questions, let her get them questions out. I'm hoping that she's going to write them down. Sis, I hope you write those questions down. You may have a lot of different feelings, express those feelings. He may ask you why, or why do you feel that way? Don't go into, oh, because I do. No. Try to like calm it down, because remember, this is supposed to be safe space conversation, and in a safe space conversation you should also be able to express how you feel, like that energy in that moment. But again, the whole keyword is safe space. Safe space. And it's going to be it may be a little off, but this is just for those scenarios if you've never talked about it before, or if your wife was not expecting that. But there's some situations where it might not go that route. It might look a little milder or medium. That's like spicy. You might have medium and milder situations that you can kind of like, navigate through in order for you to be able to see that there is definitely some work that needs to be done, but it's not the end of the road for as far as for this marriage. And again, if anything, this is a open space to be able to walk through. Now I know I'm only speaking of that jealousy from the very beginning. Like we're going to do a jealousy part 2. This is the very beginning, like before you even go into polygyny. But we're going to do a part 2 about the jealousies that occur inside of a polygynous family structure as far as when it comes to those co-wives. So this is before any wives even come about. Before anybody is actually added officially to the family. So stay tuned because that's actually going to be the next episode, jealousy part 2. But let's make sure that we are listening to one another, at least giving each other the opportunity and the chance, and understand that that jealousy is an emotion that can be tamed. It is an emotion that actually you can learn from, and it can also be a form of healthy jealousy and unhealthy jealousy. And we're going to talk about that in the next episode too. But I want you to know that you're not too jealous. You're not too jealous for polygyny. In reality, it's actually a mask that is hiding other reasons as to why you feel as though that it is going to be a bit challenging for you. So let's start making the efforts towards seeing what those things are, so that way you can see if you really are open to it, but you're just not sure. You might be a little scared. You're not sure how things are going to go. Or if you're really not open to it because you really like you about that life. Like you're not allowing yourself to not be jealous or open, and you just got like nope, this door is locked. This is what I said. There's this mask is not coming off. I said what I said. That's it. More power to you. But in the meantime, between time, we're going to wrap this episode up. I'm looking forward to jealousy part 2, where we're going to go into the discussion of co-wives, the jealousies that occur with those women that are a part of a polygynous dynamic. And with that being said, brothers, y'all better make sure y'all bring y'all pen and pads. Hopefully you had it for this one, but you really gonna want it. Especially those that are already in it, that's struggling with their wives going neck to neck as far as with the energies, the disrespect, the jealousies, and all that other negative energy that's not helpful to the dynamic of the family. We're definitely going to be breaking that down, and hopefully I'll share a few tips that may be helpful to you as well as your multiple wives. In the meantime, between time, we're going to wrap this up. This is your girl. I am your host, Mecca the co-wife coach, here closing out episode 4 of the Poly Talk podcast. Looking forward to seeing you till next time. In the meantime, between time, y'all have a beautiful, productive, and reflective remaining week on purpose and with purpose. Y'all take care. Peace. And assalamu alaikum.